Hey, what's up, guys? This is a quick video I'm going to release just to help everybody get the last piece of their Eames house projects turned in. I've seen everybody's models and they look like they're in really great shape. So all you need to do is just sheet everything up and then turn in each sheet as part of the final submission. So what we do is we come down here to the Sheets tab. A lot of you guys have already tried this, but just come down, click New Sheet, and then after that, it should have that one already preloaded. Once you've done that, first thing is the number is wrong. So let's change the number to be A101. Let's change the sheet to be floor plans. And you can fill in this other information here as well, but those are the two main things. And then on the floor plan sheet, what we're going to do is just drag in from the project browser what we want to see on the sheet. So, level 1, the first floor of the building. If you look, they automatically align to themselves so that they're stacked on top of each other. The second floor of the building, and then let's do the site as well. We're not going to align these because the site is, although it's larger, it shows the roof of the building, which is good. It shows the elevation tags as well, which are good. And then we have our first sheet. So once you've sheeted that up, that's basically the first part of the project. Then we come back down here to Sheets. We'll click New Sheet again. Same procedure. This time we're going to name this sheet Elevations and Sections. With that, we can put on the different elevations of the building. Here's the south elevation. Here is the north elevation. We don't really need the north elevation since that's just a block wall. Let's do the west elevation. So that shows sort of the front of the building. You don't need to show all the elevations, but it can be good to have them. And basically it shows like the sight line and everything. We kind of don't want to see this beyond, this piece right here. You want to see the grade of the sites. One way to do that is to go into Annotate, Region, and I like to just draw a box all the way across outside of our view, and that should be enough as long as it's set to solid white. We don't even have solid white loaded in. We can edit this to become white by duplicating the name. We'll call this solid white. Press OK. And now we're going to switch the color from black to white. So now we have a new pattern. This will show up as white now. But one thing I do want to do is make these lines different than the other ones. So we're going to make these lines invisible so they don't show up. We're going to make this one a thicker line so that you can actually see the building outline, or the grade lines. So we're going to draw these 3 lines, and we're going to make them medium lines. Press close. And you can see what we just did by going to View, Thin Lines. Now it actually shows how thick and thin the lines are. If we wanted to make that thicker, could just come in and go from median lines to wide lines. And now we're seeing that as a full-size line. Right? So that's cool. If you wanted to show the grade in that way, you could do that. I'm going to show them all that way and change them to wide lines and close. So now the building has a nice thick line around it. All right, that's cool. And then we can just copy that, and Control C is what I did to copy that. But you can paste this directly into this view by going to the Modify tab, Align to Selected Views, and that didn't work actually. You'll have to paste it in directly. So just Control V and you can see how it comes in. You can control its height. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it fits with our sheet. But this looks really cool. Awesome. Now that's done. So you have your elevations, you have shown there. On this sheet, you also want to show your section. Now you create your section by drawing it through on your floor plan. You can see there's nothing in the section head right now. It's also going to show in your elevation as well where your section is drawn. And then we drag that section into our drawing sheet. I'm going to place it right here. Perfect. Now you have a nice section. And you can see now it's filled in what that section is and where it's located. So just to finish this sheet off, you could add some detail components. One thing I'm going to add is a filled region of, I'm going to do the earth below the building. So I'll start by drawing this in and see what I get there. Okay, now I can kind of see the hatch for the earth, but you know, I had to use something different, but see the hatch from the earth. But I also want to show this concrete. So I'll do another hatch and I'll do that one as solid white. We'll draw this as a box. And now you can see the concrete slab of the building. You know, obviously there'd be crushed gravel under there or some other substrate under the concrete. But now at least, you know, you can see kind of the way the building's working. One thing I think is actually important to show is we want to show the foundation wall. If you haven't already modeled it, you can model that element into the detail item, and it will help you like make your model look more complete, even though you didn't actually create those elements. So I'm just basically trimming out and enclosing my filled region on top of my section. It's an additional step, but just gives it that much more validity when you look at it. I kind of want this to be not covered by this one. So let's move this stuff over. All right, and now you can see these drawings. And your section looks good. One thing it doesn't quite work is that it's not deep enough. So let's make the section show a little bit deeper by clicking it and dragging it all the way over. Now you can see the door beyond, you can see this stuff, you can see this half wall. You can even come into your section and actually use it as a design tool to complete your work. You know, now it's like you can actually work in section and figure out like how high should this half wall be? Does it actually come down beyond the floor plate? Is that correct? Maybe not. So let's pull that line up. By the way, to get the wall to be pink like that and create a profile editor, you just double click it. All right, so great. Now we're showing the stairs, we're showing everything beyond. And maybe we don't want this whole wall to read quite so dramatically since it's the background. So we go to, I'm gonna do that one more time. We right click, first we select it, and we right click and go to override graphics. Go to element, click halftone, press OK. Newer versions of Revit, keep in mind the door is a different family altogether, so you have to do it separately. The newer versions of Revit have a depth cue so that it shows the deeper you go into the model, the less line work you can see. But you can also override that by just doing a halftone element. So on this one, I'm seeing this is like messing us up. So I'm just going to drag it back. All right, perfect. Now everything looks clean on this, and then this becomes your second submission. This sheet becomes your second submission. So if we go back to the floor plans, now we can see here, these have been filled in because the section markers automatically update. And if you put the other two on sheets, they'll automatically update as well. But it's not necessary, really. We just need a few elevations and a section, and these look pretty clean to me. So I think this can be your second submission. Feel free to add detail or do something a little bit different, but the first one's plans. The second one is sections and elevations. All right, so once you've created those sheets, you do a third sheet. By the way, this sections and elevations are the submission for checkpoint 2. Sections and elevations. You just have to do a PDF or a screenshot of this sheet. So we're gonna, for our final submission, create one new sheet, same procedure. This one we're gonna rename as renderings though. All right, and it's automatically numbering correctly. Automatically numbering correctly. I think what you guys just saw me do is I accidentally double clicked on this title. When I double clicked on this title, now I'm in the family for this title block. And if I wanted to, I could change all these elements to be different things. Like, for instance, I could remove that and I could insert a different image that I wanted to be my logo. So I just go into, you know, my logo for what I want my project or my company logo to be. And now load this into the project, overwrite the existing version, and now that's become part of my drawing sheet. And if I go to one of my other drawing sheets, for instance, A101, I have that same logo. So, you know, you can edit this family as well. Just double click on the border. I'm gonna go ahead and not save the changes. It'll still save the family in the project, but it won't change my base file. So you have submission 1, you have submission 2 here, A102. Final submission is A103 renderings, but we have to create a 3D view. So in order to create a 3D view, we just go back to the plan. And from the plan, you can go to the View tab and go to the Camera button under 3D Views. And now you can create a view of the interior of your building that's going to show kind of what the inside looks like and the perspective view. So one thing I can see here is that it's not quite in the right spot. It's not quite in the right orientation. I want it to be totally straight up. So I can come back here and grab this. All right. I'm going to show one thing here. In order to see what you're doing, in order to see where your camera is, you have to click on the outside of your rendered view. Then it'll pull up your camera. Now you can adjust its location if you wanted to. I'm going to leave ours right like this for now. And when I select the border of my rendering, this camera becomes visible in the plan. And the same is actually true for in an elevation. So if we open up A102 elevations and we click now on the rendering, now the camera is still visible. We can see where the camera is on the screen. And let's say we wanted to change the height of the view. Okay, now we're like up high, and it's because you can manipulate the view of the camera by selecting the boundary and then going to the view you want, either to change its position or height. So now that you've done that, we have to go back to our render view. I'm going to go ahead and close this. We don't need that one anymore. Go back to our render view, and we're going to pull in our new 3D view that we just created, 3D view 2. I'm going to drag that onto a sheet. So now I've got this 3D view from up high showing the loft space. I've already previously created a 3D view that I want to put on this sheet as well. This is a little bit different view. I need to make it a little smaller, so I come up here to size and crop. I click scale so that I make it smaller. And I'm going to make this one 20 inches so that it doesn't take up quite the whole sheet. If we want to change this title block or this title line location, we just click on the drawing and these blue grips will appear and you can make it smaller. If you want to move it, don't click on the drawing first. First click on the line itself before the drawing is selected. Now you can move that around. That's 3D view 2. Let's make this one a little bigger. So we'll go back to size, scale, and we're going to make this one 12 inches so it fills up a little more of the sheet. And we can do the same thing here with this. So for me, if I want to do a rendering, I have to render my project in the cloud if I want to do an actual rendering. So you can fool around with this. You should, if you have an educational version, also have the render tool itself, which is a way of controlling the elements a little bit more. But let's just try for a first pass rendering. It's going to go to the cloud. Takes a moment to get this set up, so bear with me here. This is called 3D Image 2 standard. Let's see, what image size do we want? Let's make it 1 megapixel. I don't think we really want to change anything else about this, but let's go ahead and do render. Now it's going to automatically render this in the background for me so that I can build my project as I go. and you see it's rendering back here. But I already have these two images, and basically the third sheet and the final submission is just to show the 3D view of your project on a title sheet. I'm going to try to get our main building model in there. Looks like I have a few hidden elements I don't really want. Just move this tree a little bit closer. A few hidden elements I don't necessarily want. I didn't put the site into my model. A lot of people did, and I appreciate that. It looks really great. But if you wanted to put a site in, you just have to go to the Site tab. Site, topo surface, go from there. So anyway, now that we have this on a sheet, looks good. Oh, I liked its location. I need to move this over. So I'll just put it up in line with these two, and then click once inside of your view, and then the blue grips will show up for your title. And I'm just going to move this over a little bit so these all align, everything aligns. And this is essentially the final submission for the third piece. So it's this rendered image, a 3D view from inside the site. And if you want to do a second 3D view like I've done, you can do that. You don't have to. Let's check and see if our rendering is complete. After we've waited a little bit of time, given it some time to work, you come into Render Gallery, and it will open up a separate website. Hopefully you guys can see this on my screen here. It opens up a separate website. And it looks like it did actually work. It actually did work. So, you know, open up this project and you can see the loft space. Clearly I haven't enclosed the back of our loft space, so you would fall right off the back here. But there's some more visual interest. And let's say you wanted to upload this into a project, you can download it. Let's download it as a JPEG. So it's going to automatically go into my downloads folder. And I come back into Revit and I insert what I just downloaded as an image. Sort of like how we did the backgrounds. Mine's in my downloads. If I can find it. Sorry, bear with me. My computer, there we go. And this one that was just created, Eames House. So I'll just place this on the sheet. And nice thing about the images is I can just easily size them. You'll notice I did my logo out of a similar rendering. But yeah, this is what the final sheet will basically look like. And it's a little bit of rendering practice. If you wanted to turn the shadows on in your image, you just come down here to shadows, turn that on. And then this is your final submission. A PDF of this sheet or a screenshot of this sheet is your final submission showing the 3D of your project. So the reason why this doesn't look complete is roof is hidden. I'm just going to unhide that element. But maybe I still want to see the structure. And if I wanted to change something, all I do is go to Override Graphics by Element. And I want to make this a little more transparent so I can actually see the structure. Let's see how that looks. Cool. Now you see the roof and you can see the elements inside the roof. I think that's interesting. Maybe we might do the same thing on this and see how that works for us so that we can really see the loft space. It worked for the glass, but it didn't work for the mullions, so it kind of looks awkward. Let's skip that. All right, perfect. So again, this is the second final submission. All you need to do is PDF this sheet for the final submission and turn that in. PDF this sheet for the final for this checkpoint 2 submission, turn that in. And everyone's first floor submission is turned in, but if you haven't, it's just going to be the first floor plans, and that is submission 1. All right, so feel free if you have any questions, reach out to me. We can talk more about it. In the meantime, the main thing is just work on getting everything put on the sheet and then do it. Sheet 1 is checkpoint 1, sheet 2 is checkpoint 2, and the final sheet 3 of renderings as the final submission. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.